Part 6. It was supposed to be nicer. Often, our partner isn't necessarily being terrible in any overt way, but we feel a growing sadness about the character of our relationship. They are not as focused on us as we had hoped. There are often times when they don't understand us properly. They are often busy and preoccupied. They can be a bit offhand or abrupt. They are not hugely interested in the details of our day. They call their friends rather than talk with us. We feel disenchanted and let down. Love was supposed to be lovely. But without any one huge thing having gone wrong, it doesn't much feel that way day to day. This sorrow has a paradoxical source. We are upset now because at some point in the past we were really rather fortunate. We are sad because we have been lucky. To explain this seeming paradox, we need to look at the intimate origins of love. Our idea of what a good, loving relationship should be like, and what it feels like to be loved, never comes from what we've seen in adulthood. It arises from a stranger, more powerful source. The idea of happy coupledom taps into a fundamental picture of comfort, deep security, wordless communication, and of our needs being effortlessly understood that comes from early childhood. Some of the most popular pictures in the world show a mother tenderly holding a small child, with an expression of complete devotion and love on her face. Officially, these are pictures of one very specific and unusual child and of one very holy and good mother. But the religious background to the mother and child images isn't the key to their appeal. We are moved because we recognize a paradisiacal moment in our own personal story. We're being brought into semi-conscious contact with a delightful memory of how we were once cared for. At the best moments of childhood, if things went reasonably well, a loving parent offered us extraordinary satisfaction. They knew when we were hungry or tired, even though we couldn't explain. We did not need to strive. They made us feel completely safe. We were held peacefully, we were entertained and indulged. Even if we don't recall the explicit details, the experience of being cherished has made a profound impression on us. It has planted itself in our deep minds as the ideal template of what love should be. As adults, without really noticing, we continue to be enthralled to this notion of being loved, projecting the best experience of our early years onto our present relationships and finding them sorely wanting as a result, a comparison that is profoundly corrosive and unfair. The love we receive from a parent can never be a workable model for our later adult experience of love. The reason is fundamental. We were a baby then, we are an adult now, a dichotomy with several key ramifications. For a start, our needs were so much simpler then. We needed to be washed, amused, and put to bed. We didn't need someone to trawl intelligently through the troubled corners of our minds. We didn't need a caregiver to understand why we prefer the first series of a television show to the second, why it is necessary to see our aunt on Sunday, or why it matters to us that the curtains harmonize with the sofa covers, or that bread must be cut with a proper bread knife. The parent knew absolutely what was required in relation to our basic physical and emotional requirements. Our partner is stumbling in the dark around needs that are immensely subtle, far from obvious, and very complicated to deliver on. Secondly, none of this relationship was reciprocal. The parent was intensely focused on caring for us, but they knew and totally accepted that we wouldn't engage with their needs. They didn't for a second imagine they could take their troubles to us or expect us to nurture them. They didn't need us to ask them about their day. Our responsibility was blissfully simple. All we had to do to please them was to exist. Our most ordinary actions, rolling over on our tummy, grasping a biscuit in our tiny hand, enchanted them with ease. We were loved, but we didn't have to love. A distinction between kinds of love that language normally artfully blurs, shielding us from the difference between being the privileged customer of love or its more exhausted and long-suffering provider. Furthermore, our parents were probably kind enough to shield us from the burden that looking after us imposed on them. They maintained a reasonably sunny facade until they retired to their own bedroom, at which point the true toll of their efforts could be witnessed, but by then we were asleep. They did us the honour of not quite showing us what looking after us cost them. This was immensely kind, but did us one lasting disservice. It may unwittingly have created an expectation of what it could mean for someone to love us that was never true in the first place. We might, in later life, end up with lovers who are touchy with us, who are too tired to talk at the end of the day, who don't marvel at our every antic, who can't even be bothered to listen to what we're saying. And we might feel, with some bitterness, but this is not how our parents were. The irony, which has its redeeming side, is that this is exactly how our parents were, just up in their bedroom when we were asleep and realized nothing. The source of our present sorrow is not, therefore, a special failing on the part of our adult lovers. They are neither tragically inept nor uniquely selfish. It is rather that we judge our adult experiences in the light of a very different kind of childhood love. We are sorrowful not because we have landed with the wrong person, but because we have, sadly, been forced to grow up.